ואנחנו עוברים אל ההרצאה הראשונה, שתינתן באנגלית על ידי לנה נעמה שרעבי. כל המשתתפים הערב הם חברי משלחת הרודיון. נעמה עשתה את התואר הראשון שלה בנורווגיה, באוסלו, באומנות, בארכאולוגיה ובתולדות האומנויות, ותואר שני באוניברסיטה העברית בירושלים, ובימים האלו היא ממש לקראת הסיום של עבודת הדוקטורט שלה, שנכתבת בהנחיה של דוקטור סילביה רוזנברג ובהנחיה שלי, שעוסקת בעיטורי הקיר של המכלול המלכותי בראש התיאטרון במדרון של הרודוין, והיא כאן תציג באמת חלק קטן מתוך המסקנות המרתקות של המחקר הזה, והיא תנסה לשכנע אותנו שהעיטורים בחדר המלכותי, גם בקומה הראשונה וגם בקומה השנייה, לא היו בעלי משמעות עיטורית בלבד, אלא גם בעלי משמעות סמלית. אז בבקשה.
אין פה מקום לכלום. את המצגת שלי אפשר לעלות? איך עושים? שאלה טובה.
מה זה שלך?
הנה, פה הרביעי. זה PDF, אז אולי...
אוקיי, אז אני לא יודעת איך מקרינים PDF.
אז שלחתי שני הדברים, אבל זה מה שהם העבירו לפה.
בטוח בצד.
איך פותחים את זה
לא, רק של
למסך מלא?
ושל...
את זה? כן, צריך את המצגת, אבל במסך מלא, כאילו שלא יראו את כל הקשקושים מסביב.
הצלח?
הנה יופי, מעולה. תודה רבה. אוקיי, אז כן. Before I begin my presentation, I would like to express my gratitude to Roy Porat and the head of the Herodium expedition for inviting me to work on the wall decorations of Herod's Theatre at Herodium, and to Sylvia Rosenberg of the Israel Museum in Jerusalem, who advised him to do so, and is now my PhD supervisor together with Orit Peleg-Barkat from the Hebrew University in Jerusalem. Additionally, it is important to acknowledge Dudi Mevorach, the laboratories at the Israel Museum and the Conservation Department at Israel Antiquities Authority for their work on restoring the fragments from the reception building. Following Roy's introduction on current research of Herodium, I would like to delve deeper into the specific material related to the interior decoration of the royal suite at the Summa Cavea of the theatre at Herodium. The building that was not mentioned by Flavius Josephus in his descriptions of Herod's construction projects was probably constructed between 25 and 20 BCE, adjacent to the mausoleum and staircase leading up to the mountain palace fortress. Close to Herod's death in 4 BCE, the building was partly dismantled and covered by fills as part of the process transforming the hill of Herodium into the monumental cone-shaped memorial mound for King Herod. This has enabled a remarkable preservation of the wall paintings and stucco work discovered on the walls and within the fills of the room. These wall decorations have significantly enhanced our understanding of Herod and the interior decoration in Judea in the late 1st century BCE. The reception room was decorated in the late 2nd style with alternating auto-start and string course panels in red and orange above a black plinth. Stucco pilasters with vegetal designs adorned the walls and supported an entablature with the stucco profiles and an acanthus frieze. Between the pilasters there were painted imitations of shuttered panel pictures. These decorations featured figurative motifs that are considered unique in early Roman Judean art. Sylvia Rosenberg has suggested they served as a form of propaganda and a public statement supporting Augustus' rule, painted in preparation for the visit of Marcus Agrippa, Augustus' next in command, to Judea and Herodium in year 15 BCE. The pictures include the Lotic waterscapes preserved on the southern wall of the room, and also a picture restored from fragments at the laboratory of the Israel Museum. They show depictions of the flooding Nile, palm trees, and a crocodile. As you can see on both paintings, there is a palm tree and the crocodile I have enhanced for you to see. On the eastern wall, there was a sacro-idyllic landscape with goats, a shepherd, and his dog. אני לא יודעת כמה זה ברור פה, אבל... And still attached to a building stone from another wall was a naval scene with ships and armed soldiers. Egyptianizing and maritime motifs became prevalent in Italy following the naval battle of Actium in 31 BCE, where Mark Antony and Cleopatra defeated Augustus and Marcus Agrippa. The Nilotic and sacral idyllic scenes at Herodium share many similarities with paintings in Roman Italy, and specifically the paintings in houses connected to Augustus and Marcus Agrippa. These paintings reflect the peace and prosperity of the Augustan Golden Age after Actium victory and the annexation of Egypt. The vegetal decoration of the stucco work in the reception room is reminiscent to similar stone-carved elements found in Rome, such as the Augustan Arapakis or Altar of Peace. These decorative elements are interpreted as conveying messages of peace and prosperity. Central to this symbolism is Dionysus, and Herodium represented by the ivy leaves, and Apollo represented by laurel and acanthus. This interpretation, which would have been clear to an Alexandrian or Roman visitor, may not have been apparent to the local population, who might also have opposed to the figurative art in the room. However, the figurative paintings were situated 3.5 meters high on the wall. The figures were not clearly discernible, and the stucco work contained only vegetal motifs, as opposed to similar works in Italy. A local Judean might interpret the wall decorations as a message of abundance and prosperity. This brings us up the question of who was permitted to access the room and who made the decisions regarding its decoration. Was there an intention to convey a message, or was the stucco work and wall paintings pure decoration? The paintings were presumably ordered by Herod. The eclectic combination of motifs and framing has no parallel in Alexandria and only few in Italy. Individually, they existed in 1st century BCE Italy as free prospect landscapes and as shuttered pictures situated on painted cornices. So it's different in Italy. The combination of two motifs, the landscape and the shuttered panel, speaks of a deliberate choice, presumably by Herod. Also, the stucco decoration features an eclectic collection of motifs that were introduced to the region by Augustan artisans. These artisans were perhaps responsible for the choice of motifs in the paintings, but the presence of similar motifs on Herodian and Roman coins, believed to be the symbolic significance, increases the possibility that the selected elements had a specific meaning and message, and that it was chosen by Herod. Research on Roman war paintings remains inconclusive regarding the use as conveyors of political propaganda in houses. This due to our minimal knowledge of their owners and to the fact that decorated rooms were often in continuous use for decades through various changing political climates. Moreover, the houses in Rome that have been assigned to Augustus and Marcus Agrippa lack depictions of victory of Actium, presumably not offend the public in Rome. Herod as a Hellenistic monarch and a Roman client king, could presumably allow himself decorations with explicit messages. This more pronounced propaganda at Herodium was painted on the walls of the room situated on the second floor, just above the reception room. The decoration of this room is known only from several building stones with paintings still attached to them, and thousands of fragments, of which about 1/3 contained figurative art. The figurative paintings were framed by black bands and set in dark purple and dark blue autostar panels above an orange dado. These embedded panel pictures were larger in size and probably situated lower on the wall than the shutter panel paintings in the room below. This allowed for a better view of the motifs that included a symposium, an altar, or a pedestal, and architectural features, and naval scenes. At least 3 different naval scenes with green-blue sea and sky background were painted on the walls. Unfortunately, they are very fragmental, but show different sizes of ships, sails, and military standards. One of the scenes, here upper right, appear to have included a larger figure. Note the stitchwork on the white fabric. It is identical to a life-size figure. To realize the size difference, see the banqueting scene opposed to the large figure. It was painted across the autostyle panels and in front of a naval scene, thus indicating a connection between them. In addition, a textile with the same stitch marks was held together with what appears to be a round disc broche or fibula of a type worn by generals and emperors, here seen on the upper right. Similar brooches can be seen on the Alexander mosaic from the House of the Faun at Pompeii, and on these statues, one an equestrian statue of Augustus, another a bust of Tiberius, his adopted son. But who was the painting painted on the walls at Herodium? Augustus, Marcus Agrippa, or Herod himself? We do not know. Was the decoration in the reception building intended as a public expression of a support for Augustus' rule, or was it used as a means of political propaganda for Herod himself? Research on Herodian architecture have drawn attention to the many features, Roman features adapted into the Herodian palaces. Certain scholars interpret this as an effort to appeal to Roman visitors. However, this assumption may overestimate the level of interest Romans had in such matters. The elaborate decoration of the Herodian palaces show Herod's acquaintance with the latest fashions in Rome, but first and foremost, it displays Herod's wealth and power to his rivals and subjects. Herod was the only client king without any blood bond to the former dynasty in his realm. His marriage to the Hasmonean princess Mariamne appears to be a failed attempt to legitimize his rule. However, he established his rule with his many building projects that caused economic prosperity in Judea. Also, the reconstruction of the temple in Jerusalem gained him positive notions among his Jewish subjects. These may not have visited the theater at Herodium. The spectators were more likely members of Herod's court. These include, according to Flavius Josephus, his family, friends, young semi-hostages, visitors, officials, and royal followers. Among these were pagan and Jewish alike, many of which would understand the message intended for the Roman visitors. However, there may have been another message better understood by the local Judeans. The dominant colors used in the building were white, red, orange, dark blue, and dark purple. The orange lead and Egyptian dark blue were not commonly used for large surfaces in second-style wall paintings. The cinnabar red at Herod's third theater at palace at Jericho, and the orange lead from Herodium, both called minium in antiquity, were imported from abroad in large quantities. The extensive use of these materials in the palaces at Herodium, Jericho, and Cyprus indicates a significant cost and demand of skilled artisans, as well as a deliberate choice, presumably by Herod. The red, orange, dark purple, and dark blue colors had a special position in Judea. They were, as described by Flavius Josephus, part of the cult in Jerusalem, coloring the garbs of the high priest and the holy veil inside the temple, and imbued by symbolism. הטקסט פה מיוספוס מראה שהיה, לפחות בזמן של יוספוס היה התייחסות לצבעים האלה בהיכל לאיזשהו mythical interpretation ואיזשהו השתקפות של העולם, של ה-universe, שהסקרלט, פה האדום והכתום, symbolized אש השמיים היה כחול והסגול או הפרפל הים. The inner areas of the temple and the garb were off limits for Herod, that was not a descendant from a priestly family, in contrast to his Hasmonean predecessors that served as kings and high priests. Herod, however, could use these colors in his clothes and in his walls for his own self-aggrandization and a means to underline his rule, and more importantly, his subjects can understand their symbolic value and affluence. In conclusion, the interior decoration at Herod's theatre at Herodium may have been primarily to decorate. However, the presence of figurative art in this structure, unlike other locations, suggests a deliberate choice and particular significance. Herod may have ventured to utilize colors, figurative paintings, and stucco decoration for self-aggrandization and to show gratitude and honor to his Roman patrons. Some motifs and symbols may have been more obvious to the foreign visitors, while others were readable by the local population. Motifs that convey peace and prosperity could reflect the Augustan Golden Age, but also the prosperity of the Herodian rule. The popularity of the vegetal stucco work and its counterpart in the stone architecture of Judea show how motifs popular in Augustan Rome was adapted into the early Roman Judea and perhaps also acquired local symbolism and messages as they became popular in the Judean repertoire. However, that is a subject to address at another time. שאלות?
תודה רבה לנעמה על הרצאה מרתקת ועל עמידה בזמנים, וזה מותיר לנו זמן לדיון ושאלות מהקהל. אז יש מישהו שמעוניין לשאול לגבי המחקר של נעמה, לגבי המשמעות הסמלית? אוקיי, אז כולם השתכנעו, כולם השתכנעו. אז תודה רבה.
אפשר גם בפרטי.
כן.